Hey guys, how you doing? This is Bobby Davis from the tech capital of the world in Kernersville, North Carolina. It's another beautiful day here, and I'm joined by Kevin Doyle, the best producer on planet Earth. Hey Kevin, how you doing?
Hey, I'm great. New camera.
Good. Yeah, I got a new rig today, so we're still working on it. So if it goes like green or black,
We still might have technical issues, but you look a little bit different today. So
yeah. So I'm
that's
running
cool. I
my
like it.
Pocket Cinema from Blackmagic Design with my ATM Mini deck. So still haven't integrated fully into that yet, but eventually we'll do cool stuff with it. So
Yeah, it's awesome. Very cool.
yeah, so it's kind of cool. So it's not the same, and so I'm not shooting off my MacBook Pro anymore. So that's off to the side now.
Yeah,
so it's kind of cool.
It's definitely better camera quality, that's for sure.
Yeah,
Definitely better camera quality.
But so I had to like clean up and stuff like that because the shot's different.
They had to change your shot a little bit.
Change the shot a little bit.
Oh, because we can see more of your desk now.
Yeah, you can see more of my desk. So I removed all the top secret stuff off of it.
Oh, okay. So yeah, I get it. Yep, stuff that we can't show everybody.
Right.
Let's say hey to some people here. Man, Maverick's like on these. When we're gonna do, I'm doing a meme right out of the gate. As soon as we're done with the intros of, we'll do a meme straight away. Okay? You did a good job. I like it.
Maverick memes.
Mavericks memes. Maybe I make a bumper one day.
Mad Mavericks memes. I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah. Let's see who's here. So MSV is here.
So Maverick's complaining about my light balance here. So
we're working on that too.
We're working on that too. We do have color control. So
yeah, we do, but it's like yes. So yeah,
start messing with it now, it could go out. So I'm just gonna.
Yeah, we don't want to do that.
Yeah,
we'll fix it later. So Thomas is currently in our class too, and he says that we need more difficult mini projects in our class. You just trust me, Thomas. You might find them easy, but ask some other people in your class. They're not gonna. Not everybody finds those easy to do. And if you find them easy, make them better.
The mini projects aren't the scope of the class, so that's so those are portfolio items, and we'll get into C# next week. But Thomas, send me yours. Let me look at them, and then let's see if we can make them better if you want.
Yeah.
So it's all about the UI. Once you get the algorithms down, and you've got a whole week here, so like let's make them look good. Get the portfolio rock solid, and let's get a job.
Yeah, so. Definitely. Yes, Adam, I did see this too. So Adam is our moderator here on YouTube and on Discord, and we had 30 new people join yesterday. So if you joined with us yesterday on Discord, thank you very much. We appreciate it. All the coding challenge stuff is posted over there, and I'm guessing that's why a lot of people joined, which bodes well for our coding challenge and the amount of people that are going to enter. So that's good. It's good for us. It might not be good for you because you have less of a chance of winning, maybe. I don't know. Right. It means you got to up your game. I don't know. Make it better. I don't know. So yeah, so that's cool. What else do we have here? Andreas is here too. And I see Andreas. I saw Andreas was working on his coding challenge over on Discord too. And he was asking some questions over there. So that's cool. I think he got it working. Let's see who else is here. Haritam is here too. Hey, good morning or afternoon or evening, wherever you are.
Yeah, exactly. From wherever you're listening and seeing it. It's great. Thanks for coming in.
Yeah. Adam says your audio isn't quite in sync. I don't see it on my end, so
I don't see it on my end.
Yeah, and I don't either, which is interesting. If anybody sees it, like, is it really badly out of sync? Because maybe it's something when it's pushing it out to YouTube too. It could be that.
Yeah.
Is mine out of sync too? I'm interested.
Because that didn't
shouldn't make a difference otherwise.
Change.
Yeah.
But the video did.
Yeah. Yeah. Let me see. Here we go. So here's him has a question too. So Node.js or C# for big projects? Give him a quick answer.
Yeah. If you're doing something big, that's what I'm doing.
Node, right? Node,
C#.net. C#.net all the way, especially for big web applications.
Not Dino?
Nope. No way.
You know, pushing the boundaries and trying something new.
Now they're saying my camera frame rate is bad.
Oh, see, I don't see that either.
I don't either. Well, we're gonna have to deal with it today.
Yeah, so, we're dealing with it today. We're gonna watch it back afterwards.
Yeah, we'll watch it back.
See what the deal is. Yeah, we'll see what the deal is.
Maybe we have to scrap this whole thing. I don't know.
Anybody need a used pocket cinema?
Magic pocket cinema or the ATM setup?
Maybe it just doesn't work for this. It does, though. We just got to get it right. It does.
Yeah.
Let's see who else. Larry's here too. Hey, Larry, and you're 3 minutes late. We weren't late, were we? You were late. We weren't late. Right. I don't think we were late. We were almost on time. Let's see. Oh, Andreas says he's making a very simple game in Unity, but he's already saying he won't win. That's not true. Don't have that defeatist attitude, Andreas. Go for it. Not an artist or a UI designer. That's okay. If you have a creative way of doing it, it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be Da Vinci level.
Look at what he said here, though. I think my algorithm can support basically infinite amounts of int32s.
Okay, cool.
I don't think that's true, Andreas.
Why? Why do you say that?
Because infinite's really big.
So there was this one thing that with the a good explanation for infinity, because it's like it is this abstract concept that's like you really have a hard time grasping, and it was the Shakespeare and monkey thing. I don't know if you've heard that one. If you put if you put an infinite amount of monkeys in a room, they'll ultimately write Shakespeare. Right, with typewriters, they'll ultimately write Shakespeare, and that's a good definition of infinity because it allows for every single variation of everything they're ever going to write. And it's like, okay, so that's big. That's a lot.
It's a lot. Sheeborn says, "Hey, what's up, Ashim?"
Hey, Ashim,
our biggest fan.
That's cool. Who else is here too? Estevan's here too. Hey, Estevan. Andy Short's back. Hey, Andrew, how you doing? Nathaniel's here too. Hey, Nathaniel.
What's up?
Oh, look at this. Look at this.
Someone got a job. I hear you.
Look at this. Someone got a job. That's awesome. Clap. That's very, very, very cool. Yeah, that's cool. You have to let us know where that's at. Does Natasha know these details? Let Natasha know, because she always lets us know what's going on with you guys. Yeah, and exactly. we always celebrate internally when you guys come through the school. When we do genuinely, like, we'll celebrate internally because we think it's great when you guys go through the program and get jobs. It's the best. It's the best feeling ever. Shane's here too. Yo. Class? Or did he just finish the class? He just finished the class.
He just finished
the class. So that's cool. And he's on his second since graduation. Oh yeah. I forgot you moved out of town, didn't you? And you got something else. That's cool. Yeah. That's awesome. And he just found out 10 minutes ago. Very cool. Hey, let Natasha know so she can tell us all about it.
You know, let's see here. Let me get what happened? Oh yeah. Look at Ashim, man. He's got emoji game like nobody's business, man. He's got, like, every time I follow him on Twitter, and if you want to follow Ashim on Twitter,
got
emoji game.
He does. He's an emoji lover. But
I know.
Try to sell the man on a QR code, and he's having none of it.
No, he doesn't like QR codes. He's all about the emojis. So, man,
he's all about the emojis. I don't know. I would say emojis are more gimmicky, Ashim, than QR codes. You know, I love a good QR code.
Yeah, exactly. I'm actually building a system right now that's going to use QR codes.
Didn't Apple just do something with new QR codes? Isn't one of their new things like a new QR code thing? I'm telling you, Ashim, Apple are going to bring QR codes to the front, and we're going to start using them again. Yeah, that's my guess.
Yeah, Ashim wants to get all technical, man. He wants to get all technical now. Mobile short codes, yes. QR codes, no. Okay,
same thing, right? Aren't they the same thing?
I
thought they were. I thought they were a similar thing. You take a picture of it and it takes you somewhere. Isn't that the technology?
Yeah.
I don't know. But that's funny. Okay. So let me do a meme first before we jump into anything, because the meme is applicable to what we're doing today. So Mavericks memes.
Mad Mavericks memes.
This one was Mad Mavericks memes. This one was very appropriate for today because we're talking about vanilla JavaScript again.
Vanilla JavaScript.
So I love a good Family Guy meme because I love Family Guy. There's a lot that happens in here. If you don't know a lot about Family Guy, everyone hates Meg. Meg in Family Guy, who's the JS up here at the top.
Right. Everyone hates
and
Meg.
Everyone hates Meg on Family Guy. I mean, everybody hates Meg. Peter hates Meg. Lois hates. Everybody hates Meg. Her parents hate her. So it's a running gag. It's a thing. So nobody likes vanilla anymore. Vanilla JavaScript anymore. I thought it was pretty funny. I liked it.
And Vue and Angular and React. Nobody likes vanilla.
So we're talking about vanilla though. So that's just what it is. And we'll come back to some more memes later.
Like, how come you can watch Family Guy? It's okay, but if you like partake in a DC animated movie, you're seen childish. What's the difference?
I don't know.
Like, watch the
I'm not sure there really is one, but yeah, I'm not sure there really is a difference. But there's Family Guy is definitely not for kids. And I guess some of the DC stuff's also not for kids, though, is it really?
Nah, you seen the last Dark Side movie? It was like everyone died.
Okay. Family Guy is definitely not a family-friendly cartoon.
Yeah,
I will say that. It's very adult-oriented.
Yeah.
And yes, shut up, Meg.
Shut up, Meg. So
I can't see. Here's the thing: if I see that's the line. If I see anybody called Meg, I can't not think of that line. It's just, if you go to a restaurant or something, and your waitress comes up, she's like, "Hey, 100%." She comes up and says, "Like, hey, I'm Meg. I'm going to be a waitress." You just want to say, "Shut up, Meg."
Shut up, Meg. It's not personal. It's just Family Guy.
It's just Family Guy. Yeah, I don't like it. That's just what it is. That's just it. Okay, so what are we talking about today? What's that topic?
We're talking about vanilla JavaScript and how can you use templating inside with a templating solution for vanilla JavaScript. So there's the green.
Oh, look, and your camera went green.
Yeah, it's
there
back.
You go.
So what we're gonna do here?
That might happen. That's a technical issue we're just working through. Okay.
Just try it again here.
This is true, Raphael. Karen is the new Meg. They should have just labeled that thing Meg instead of Karen. It would have been better. That would have been good. Okay, so templating in JavaScript, which we did some of before back in May, and this was an idea that came from one of our current students, right? I think. Let me see. Future Stream Talks. Yeah, Glenn suggested that we come back and do this. So Glenn, I'm sure, is not here because he's in class working on stuff.
Right.
But he suggested we come back and revisit this because we didn't quite get to everything. So there's some other stuff.
Thomas is here, and so he can relay it to Glenn.
Yeah, he can go tell Glenn, like, hey, you should go watch this. Which, speaking of too, before we move on, hey, everybody that's here, if you could go ahead and hit the little like down below, hit the little thumbs up.
A like.
It helps us with these videos, and it only takes a second. And hey, if you hate it, you could always hit the thumbs down. But then why would you be here? So,
right.
It helps us if you do hit the like. That'd be awesome.
Maverick wants me to switch cameras, but I can't. Sorry, Maverick.
Yeah, we can't. Sorry.
It's off to the side. It's we're set up. So
yeah.
All right, so we'll watch it back on the stream. If this thing isn't performing well on YouTube Live, we'll figure it out and see what it is.
Yep.
So,
but you're not going to see. You're not going to look at as much anyway because we're going to do screen sharing in a second. We're going to talk about JavaScript.
Yeah.
So what is it we're gonna do? What are we gonna talk about?
So let's talk about templating a little bit. So let me set this up here.
Okay.
And you can switch the shot. Just tell me when we're ready to go.
There you go. I see.
All right. So I can't see the shot, but I can see what I'm doing here. So so one of the things that we run into a lot is in templating, and it's specifically with any kind of solution that you would use, whether it be Vue, React, ASP.NET. They all have a way to handle things like menus. And so menus, so you don't have to do these a bunch. And so what I'm going to do is show you how with just plain vanilla, we could build a menu system and only have one HTML file to control it. And so one of the problems with HTML is I have to build this menu system at the top for every page individually. And so when I have a change in my menus, then I have to go change every page. Or if the menus are dynamic, for say they're pulled from some other kind of data source, you really can't do that, where you've got to rebuild that code every place you want it. And so this shows you how to kind of componentize these menus and pull them out somewhere where you can make one change and then it'll propagate across the whole site. So we're going to build that. And I'm going to use this Fizz Buzz example here. And we're not going to go into Fizz Buzz because this is what I used last time. But we're not going to go into that. But like today, we're just going to work on making a menu. So it'd be kind of cool. All right. Ooh. So I'm going to get rid of this. And so what I did was I came into, and this is VS Code. So if you haven't yet used VS Code before, go get it. It's free. It's free for everyone. And I use this primarily when I'm building JS and HTML sites. If I'm building something in ASP.NET, I'm using Visual Studio. But I do like this as a code editor. I don't try to trick it out where it's totally an IDE, but it's just my code editor. And so I've got a couple of plugins here, and one of them allows me to build Bootstrap real quick. So $B will allow me to build a Bootstrap template. And so I've got these really big here in case you're watching this on mobile so you can see. And you can see what it did was it just built out a simple site. So not bad at all. All right, so we'll change the title here and we'll just call it JS Templates. And the first thing I want to do is I'm going to show you how I'm going to get my nav bar in here. So I've got a nav that I've got over here that I'm going to just cut and paste in here. And this really isn't even to teach you about, necessarily Bootstrap navs. It's about just showing you how you put a nav bar in here. So this is a nav bar in Bootstrap, and basically has some classes on it, and you have this nav tag. And so if you run this, you're going to see that there's a nav in here. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put this inside of a div just so we can set up what we're going to do here. So if I create a div, paste this in a div, I'm going to give this an ID too, because we're actually going to pull this out into a separate file. And this is so that I can access this area that I want to write to inside this div. And then I'm going to reinsert this back into my site. But if I run this right now, I don't have an image yet. And you can see right now I've got this kind of menu system here, and I didn't have any built my pages out yet. And so I'm going to build this second page today real quick here and just show you kind of the problem you run into. All right. So let's change this to images. And I can go ahead and get our branding in here if I need it. I can pull that over here. So now I've got my mark in here, and I think that should finish out kind of what we're doing here. Let's check it out. So now I got my little mark in there. So now we've got our menu kind of built out. So so that's kind of what we want to do. So now let's build a second page. So I'm going to go over here. I'm going to build a second page. All right. And you can see it's empty. So I'm going to use the same kind of $4 here. And then what I would have to do is I would have to copy this whole nav right in here, this whole div tag.
Right.
And put
which will work, right? But then if you got to change it on one,
you got to change
it on all of them. You change it everywhere, which is just asking for trouble, surely.
Right. So when I run this now, you can see now I have 2 pages built out. They're blank, but you can see they're changing up here, and now my menu is changing. Notice here too that this isn't selected, and so that's the other problem you run into. So like if I go to my challenge in here, I've got to set active, and we're going to handle this too from code. So I'd have to go over here and say when I click on the challenge link, I got to set.
Oh wow, okay, yeah.
We're going to handle that through JavaScript as well, and so that's one of the things. So if we run this, you know, now we can see challenge and it's selecting it. Okay. And just to show
Your
you,
camera's going green, by the way.
Is it going green? This is not going to work today, is it?
It's not looking good, is it?
Yeah. We're going to have to get
there you go. You're back. You're back.
So, so one of the things that, and just tell me if it goes green because I can't see the feed at this point.
Yeah.
I can't see my code.
Yeah.
So like one of the things that we want to do is I want to like make this all into a file that I can read from disk and then inject that into the page. And that's essentially what React, these template engines are doing, is they're injecting HTML into the page. Okay. There's a lot of techniques to do this, but I'm going to do it with just pure vanilla JavaScript because you may want to do that. You may not know React, or you may not want to embrace a full-on templating system. You've got a simple site, or there may be a variety of reasons why you want to do it your own way. You want to do it. And this is one way to do that. So what I'm going to do is inside of this JS file, I'm going to create a thing, a couple of files in here. And I'm going to create a new file, and it's going to be called template JS. And you can call this whatever you want. Okay. And so the first thing you do, just make sure you do, is I'm going to go in here and make sure my source is connected up here, my JS, that I've connected it up here. So I'm going to go ahead and pick template JS. And that's just linking it into this file. I'm going to copy this and put this in the other page too as well, so it'll run everywhere we go. And the other note is, like, typically you load your scripts at the end because scripts may run when after the page is loaded, and that's why you put them at the end.
Okay.
So that's kind of what you got to do. All right. And so that's pretty much the full setup here. So if we have a style sheet, which we're not going to go into today, I would link it up here. Any images I would throw into here, and that's kind of my standard kind of setup. So, but I'm going to make one more folder in here, and I'm going to make a new folder, and it's going to be called templates. So if you want to create templates, this is how you do it. Now, what I'm going to use is HTML to actually create these, which is kind of cool. That means they can be edited with things that you're very familiar with. And it's super easy to do. So I'm going to create a new file in here, and I'm going to call this menu HTML. Okay, so now I've got this blank thing, but I'm not going to use Bootstrap for this. I'm going to use something called the template tag. And what the template tag does is allow you to write HTML, but it doesn't render in the browser. If someone navigates to the page, it won't render it. The browser ignores it and doesn't try to display it. So what we can do, and check this out, it's pretty simple. I'm going to take this nav tag, I'm going to collapse it here, all right, from my index page, and I'm going to paste it into here. So now I've got valid HTML inside of a template tag, okay? Now I'm going to read this template tag. So in order for me to read it from JavaScript, I've got to name it something. Now, if you've done this before, you can realize that I could probably have as many of these template tags put in this one file as I wanted, and it wouldn't matter. So you could create one massive HTML file that came the templates, or you could create a template with for a file per template, however you want to organize your project. But if you have an ID, you can always access just that template when you're reading it. So for today, we're only going to have one, and so we're going to have this thing. So you notice here we've got this active here, and we're going to handle that as we go through it. And so we've just got our kind of template set up. Okay, so what we can do is I'm going to take this out. So I'm going to leave it blank.
Your camera cut off again.
Did? Gee whiz.
Yeah.
Bad.
There you go.
I don't know what the deal is.
Oh, and there you go. You're back.
Okay. Just let me know. All right. And so like one of the things that that we can do is now I'm all flustered, but like I need to write some code in JavaScript to kind of read this. So if we look at this real quick, we can see now this is blank because I took out the menu template or the nav bar. And if I go to challenge, you can see now it's got it because I didn't change it out yet. But if I go back here, it's blank. So there's nothing in there, just to show you kind of like, this is what we're going to do. Now, what we're going to use to read this is something called a fetch. And a fetch is used for a lot of things inside of JavaScript. And ideally, we're going to use something where we can read it off disk. But you also can use it to fetch data from an API. But we're going to use it in a way that you may not have thought about before, but like that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to go over here to this template here, and I'm going to write a function called build menu. All right. And so we're just going to call it build menu. And one of those things that we can do is we're going to pass it a menu ID to it, so we know which menu item we're actually selected on. Okay, easy. And so now what we need to do is say, we can just built-in object inside of JavaScript called fetch. And I am going to fetch it from the templates folder, which is right here. And then I'm going to slash menu.html. Okay, and so I got to make sure that's all spelled right.
So we have a question too while you're doing this as well.
Go ahead.
So Edward is asking, so the template tag is like a div, but a better reminder that the content within is a template.
It won't render. So the difference is, if I go to my menu, if I change this to a div and I navigated to this page, all of this code would render in the browser. This template tag tells the browser to ignore what's inside of this tag.
Okay.
There's a big difference. So the div tag doesn't do that. It'll render, it'll still continue to render. So, but it's kind of like that, yeah. But this is a HTML standard template element. So this isn't something I made up. This is built into the HTML spec.
Right.
So, and then you can clone this, as you'll see, and insert stuff in. All right. We good?
Yep.
All right. So let me do this. So the first thing you do is you can have the then statement in here. And this is the first one. And this is what happens when it goes out and goes to that resource. So you've got to check to see if it worked. This is how you do it. And then once you've checked that it does work, you can then turn around and use it for something. So let's get this in here. I'm having problems typing today, but so the first thing I want to do is just return, and you can do some other error checking in if you want to. And I'm going to return the text because I'm going to parse this, and that's it. That's all I got to do. So I can put a comment in here. So that's kind of it. And so then you can do, you do another then, and this is where we'll do most of our work today. All right. And I'm going to pass it something called HTML. I'm going to tell you why this works here in a second. So basically what this is going to do is going to pass in this object right into here. Okay, so like I'm going to get the HTML that it read from this fetch statement and shove it into here. This is checking to see that this fetch actually worked. And now I'm going to do something with it now that I have it. Okay. Now,
okay.
If you want to go back and look, I explained a lot of this in the previous lesson that we did, but so I'm going to try to go over it again. So if you've seen this before, it it's basically the same technique. The difference is I'm using fetch and pulling something off disk. But I need to parse this. And so I'm going to call this called var parser. And then I'm going to say, I'm going to actually like this. That's my muscle memory doing that, man. And I'm going to call this one object here. And it allows me to parse HTML or maybe XML or a lot of things, okay? We're going to use it to parse HTML, okay? And that's another thing that's built into JavaScript. All right, so what I need to do now is actually grab the template. So I need to grab the template from, or actually, let me first grab the div from the page. Okay, so what I'm going to do is grab, if I go look at here, I need this div tag right here because I'm going to do some inserting into here. Okay, so I need to get a handle to this particular div tag. And so that's easily done like this. So I'm going to create a variable and I'm just going to use document.getElement by ID. Then I'm going to use the name of it, and I believe I call it menu.
Yep.
So that should work. And then I'm going to get the template and parse it.
Okay, we have a question about the fetch thing here from both Raphael and Hritam.
Okay.
It says, is fetch part of JS or do I need Node?
No, it's part of JS.
Okay.
Just remember that Node and all these other things are built on top of JavaScript. So anything that you can do in Node, you can pretty much do in vanilla JavaScript. Node and all these products are built on top of JavaScript to solve specific problems that may take you a lot of work to do. Like templating, like we're doing today. This you don't have to do these kind of work, but you may not want to use those complete engines because they may be too heavy for you. You don't want dependencies, or you're not familiar enough with it, or you just have something small that you want to do, like this one site. Okay.
Right.
Also, you can use this as a learning exercise to kind of see how these things could be working, or how you would build your own library to do this. All right. So that's pretty easy. So the next thing we need to do is I need to get the template. So I'm going to say let the doc. So I'm going to create a variable called doc, and I'm going to parse this thing. So I've got, remember my parser I created, and I'm going to say parse from string because I turned it into a string. And this is a little bit different than the other stuff I've done in the past. I'm going to pass it in the HTML object that's passed in from fetch. I'm going to tell it that it's text-html. So that's going to parse that HTML for me. All right, the next thing I want to do is create my template. And I got to go grab that. So that's get element by ID. And what I'm going to do there is it's going to be called menu template. Okay. And then I'm going to and I'm going to clone this thing. So this is the standard thing. You grab it and then you make a clone of it. I spelled template.
You got
right.
template wrong. There you go.
Content.clone node. And this is the syntax that you'll just have to get used to, but like that's kind of what it does. So now what I've got is I've got a clone of the template. It's kind of cool.
Why do you have to clone it? That's just
so that you can insert into it. And then so this thing, you're not really using it. You're going to like grab this, change it as the clone, and then you append it somewhere.
Okay.
So that's, you got to get it into memory in general so that you can work on it. Okay. So it should be pretty simple at this point. So we're looking good. All right. So if you're confused by this, just remember what we're grabbing is this, and because we're grabbing that, this doc has a reference to menu template. So like if we look in here, this thing's called menu template. So this is the thing we're working on, not the page.
Right.
Okay. All right. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay, cool. All right. So the next thing we want to do is I want to get a list of links. So I'm going to make an array of links because what I'm going to do is work on those links. If you're staying with me, this will be over here in just a second. All right. So what I can do is I can look in this template I've got, and I look in my clone that I built, and I'm going to use a query selector. And this is one of the things that's kind of cool about JavaScript, and probably things you should read about, is how you can select certain things that you want based on criteria that you pass to the query selector. But what I'm going to do here is I want every A tag that is a nav item.
Okay.
Okay. So in other words, if I go over here and look in here, I want all of these tags in here that have this class nav item on them.
Okay. Yep. So that makes sense.
And it's going to like traverse through the document, find those, and pull these individual things back in an array to me. So I didn't have
obviously being specific, so you don't just pull all the links.
Yeah, everything. Right. Because there could be other things that I'm not interested in. I'm just interested in the menu links. So kind of cool, right? Then what I want to do is once I have that, I want to, I'm going to write a quick little for loop here, and I'm going to remove that active on it. So remember, one of the problems we ran into was like, what's active, what's not active. And so I'm going to write a quick for loop, and less than links dot links. All right. And then I++. So I can then say links, and then this is this array that's coming back, and I reference the current one that I'm on, and then I can use this thing called class list, which is kind of neat, and I can hit remove that, and I want to remove active. And what will happen is it'll take that for that. If you look in here in this menu here, it'll go through these items individually, look inside the quotes of this class, and if it sees active, it'll remove it. So in the case of the first one, it'll remove it. And so what I want to do is remove them all and then add back the one that's being selected. And that's kind of the trick to this whole thing. All right.
And do you do that within the same for loop then, or you do that in a separate place?
So what I'm going to do is just set one, and then I'm going to show you how I'm going to set one here. Okay. All right. And I'm going to show you how this works in just a second. So I'm going to go back to my clone now, and I'm going to get my element by ID. I'm going to get my menu. Actually, what I'm going to do is get the menu ID. So remember, this is being passed in. I'm going to show you how we're going to call that in there. So I'm going to call JavaScript on load of every page, and that page I'm just going to pass in the name of the menu that I want to be selected. So this is really just going to be a string coming in here that's going to say like index or challenge or code or whatever. Okay, and I'll show you how that works in a second, but I got to get the code written first. So then I can set the attribute, which is another JavaScript thing. And that's what our attribute.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. We're good. All right. And then I can turn around and say for the attribute class, I'm going to set it to active like item. All right.
Okay. So
I'm going to go ahead and copy the thing that I want to set in here. I'm going to copy it from my menu. So like I'm going to add these classes to that thing. Boom. All right. Then, so all that's doing is writing to this class right here. It's putting these 3 back in here. I removed them. Yep. I'm going to add them back in. So pretty simple. And then I'm going to pin the whole thing and then kind of write it to the page, and then we should have a menu.
Okay.
All right. So like let nav. So I'm going to create this, and I'm going to say clone dot, and I'm going to do a query selector all, and I'm going to say nav. So what that will do, if you look back over here, is it's going to select everything in this nav thing. It's going to select this, but it's going to leave out the template part.
Yep.
Okay. That's all it's going to do.
Remember that from last time.
Yeah. Okay, cool. All right. And then I'm going to say menu div append child. Now, if you remember what menu div is when I went and got this document right here.
Yep.
For the menu. Okay. So if you look over here, it's pulling this, and I'm going to pin child will make me right in between these 2 divs.
Okay.
So menu, and then I just take my clone to do it. Okay, cool.
Okay.
And then I can put a catch on this. If it doesn't work, I'll get an error. And what I can do here is put my brackets in here, and I can just do some console log thing.
Is this this is a basic like debugging technique then, right?
Yeah. And I can actually write the error that I actually got from that. So I would see this down in the console if something went wrong.
Okay. Is this something like ultimately you would remove from your page then once you know that it's working, or would you leave something like that there?
I'd leave it in here because something could happen in here.
Okay.
And something could happen in here, and this would give you what the error was. You'd probably still debug it to see it anyway. Right. But that's kind of our templating function. Okay, so to call this, we go over here to index, and then what we do is we just write a simple JavaScript function on the body on load. I say on load, then I call it build menu. And then I'm going to pass it parameters, and I know what I want because I know what page I'm on. And so I named in my template, I'll go back to my template real quick. I named these templates what I wanted. All right. So I called it menu item home. So I'm going to pass it in here so it knows which one to look up to set the active tag. That's all that's doing.
Okay.
And so that's kind of it, man. So hopefully if I did that right, I can open this up on live server and it'll display. There you go. Isn't that cool? So now this one's hard coded. So now I'll show you how simple this is. So once you get this built, you're like, man, that's a lot of work to render one menu, and that's kind of cool, except I can go in here now and I can take out my nav here. Okay. And then I can just say on load. And then I will just call it build menu. All right. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this from the menu template because I make sure I get it right. Let's see, challenge. All right. So that's so now I don't have any code in here at all. And so if I run this, and I click on it. Now it's building that menu. It's kind of cool.
Okay.
And what I would do is build the next couple of pages out, and I would do this. Now I don't have to worry about my menu anymore. But here's what's the part of it is really cool. So if I go into my menu template here, and so this says, for example, Coder Foundry Fizz Buzz, and we said, oh, what I'm doing is I'm not doing Fizz Buzz. I'm doing what's one of the other challenges we done? I'm doing Loot Cave, you know. So Loot Cave is coming out this week. And so now I can rerun this. And now it says Loot Cave, and it's changed.
And you only had to change it in one place.
Right. And that's why React and ASP and all these things were invented was to number one goal that it does is assist with navigation, build with menu building. The second thing that's big is component driven development, which is, you know, a core part of React, and it's a really big deal inside of ASP.NET and C#. It's building partial views or partial components, whatever you want to call it. It's a big deal inside of Blazor, you know, where it's controlling, like, where you code the internal part of your page or like just the content area, and then this particular this solves that problem where you have it in one spot. What I like about this is it's pure HTML, so you could literally give this to an HTML person that doesn't know anything about JavaScript or anything like this, and they could change out the menus for you. Or even better, you can actually also, now you can make this data driven to where this isn't hard coded, that you also have a function that builds out the list of links, maybe from a content management system or something like that, where these lists are dynamic, you know, or maybe it's dynamic based on security, you know, where if you're logged in, you can see some pages. If you're not logged in, you can't. And so you could control all of that through code, you know, things like that. So that's why you would do it. And this simple fetch function is pulling this off disk instead of some other kind of HTTP resource like a web API or something like that, or an API or some kind of RESTful service. So that's it, man. So awesome. Let me go back to it and see if we got any questions. So we'll remove that from the screen.
An infinite number of windows there. That was good. No, that's cool. That's awesome. Okay, cool. Let's see. We didn't have any questions yet. Raphael said, it's amazing. He spent all last week learning half of what Bobby's teaching, but in React.
Yeah.
Yeah. As you were saying, it's like you can do it in both.
You can do it in both. And so, like, there's a big movement like going on inside of our community where, like, you know, it's called JavaScript bloat, and like you have all of these libraries that built up, and number one, they do expose you to some kind of security concerns. They do expose to like slow loading sites and all this kind of stuff, and you have all of this stuff going on inside your site that you didn't write, and you don't really know what it's doing. And when you have like a 5 or 10 page website,
you don't really need it.
So like this is part of that's why I do it, you know. So it's
plus the way that I look at this too is you're understanding like what React is doing, because it's really just doing this, right? It's just doing it for you. If you understand like this is what's happening, it's like it makes your understanding of the technology even better. That's what I like about it.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's kind of cool. And so like if we go back here, I'll just real briefly, I'll go back to Parallels if you want to change the camera again, just back on this game. So what's cool about this is you got to look at, I have one JS here. You'd have to bring in all of React and understand how React works just to build simple menus. And you just don't need to do that half the time, you know. The thing that I do want to encourage you with is if you're, and I can go back to my full example here and just show you something else right here real quick. When you're building out a coding challenge, because the challenge is easy doesn't mean it shouldn't be on your website. And that's the one thing, Thomas Sanders brought up a good point. The challenges need to be harder, and you can make these as hard as you want. But the reason I'm building these out is because inside of Coder Foundry, we're building this concept called mini sites. And the mini site it tells us what we're going to do and then builds an app to do it. And I've got these pages reversed in my mini site, but like in general, this is a way to show Fizz Buzz working. And then we also bring out to where you can show the code that you did to complete Fizz Buzz. And this is using something called Prism. And so this is kind of like your core thing. Explain what it is you're going to do, build an app to show it, just like we're doing with Loot Cave this week. And this is why we make our challenges the way we do, is so that you can have something worthy to put on your portfolio. Even if it is a simple Fizz Buzz, but you do this shows a lot more knowledge and expertise than just writing a simple algorithm with console log. So I think that is kind of the reason we do it. And that's the method to our madness, is building out mini sites. And mini sites were introduced in this cohort. Before we had them in just modal pop-ups before. I know if Adam's on, he knows how we did it before. And now what I'm doing is taking that same concept, but pulling it out into multiple mini sites. Now, what people can do is, because you have, let's say you have 6 coding challenges or maybe even 10 coding challenges on your portfolio, and they're all separately published to Netlify. And then you have a portfolio that's separately published somewhere else. What we're trying to do is build out SEO rankings for your developer portfolio by having multiple things that point to it, or link backs, and that brings up your relevancy ranking, so that if someone searched up Bobby Davis or Kevin Doyle and their portfolio site come up, you might see 6 links, and then they click a link to look at Fizz Buzz, but then this about right here should be pointing back to your portfolio. Then they go back to your developer portfolio and like, oh, that's kind of cool. There's a lot of content here. Kind of neat. So it's educational, where you're showing people up front how you built it. You have this app, it shows creativity. And then I was just showing you today, like how you would build this out with vanilla JavaScript instead of pulling in something like React, because it can get kind of too much. So anyway.
Yep. We've definitely discovered that the logic problem itself doesn't have to be overly complex.
No.
It's the way that you show how you solve that logic problem. It doesn't have to be like leak code, 5-star, difficult.
Right.
You can solve something much simpler in a more creative way.
But if you've got those, add them on there. Just most of us aren't quite there yet, and that's okay. So solve the ones you can. But if you solve easy ones, make it cool, and then work on to your major project. So I want you to have major projects, business projects, more than coding challenges, but there's room for both on your portfolio. So if you're wondering about Coder Foundry, we're going to spend a week this week building out 5 or 6 coding challenges, similar to the ones we introduced on Monday. We're not doing Loot Cave in this cohort. We may in a future cohort.
Depending on what you guys come up with.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's kind of cool.
Hey, look who's back. Look.
Hey, Brian's
back. Is your mom back too? Brian. That's what I'm going to say. Hey. Yeah, we've missed you guys. Yeah. Where have you been?
Yeah.
That's cool. So yeah, it's about taking your idea and
it's amazing and lightweight. And they're constantly building out the things that you can do inside of JavaScript, just pure vanilla JavaScript. So adding things like the template tag solves that. Adding things like fetch helps you with those kind of things. So anyway, so I think Esteban knows.
I don't know. It looks like there's a site though for this vanilla.js. I don't know if it's a comedy site or what it is. There's actually a vanilla-js.com site. Okay. I've never been there.
That neither.
So I don't know if it is an actual framework or it's just making fun of regular JS. I can't tell. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what they're doing. It's a that's kind of funny. I see it now.
Yeah.
It's just built into the browser. Yeah, so like you don't have to download anything.
His mom's there too. So hey, Brian's mom. Look, he's been sick, man.
Yeah.
Your camera went out, by the way, Bobby.
Yeah.
That's crazy, Brian. I hope you're feeling much better. That's nuts. Yeah, I hope you're feeling better.
Oh wow, cool. He's healed.
Yeah,
good.
He's healed. That's good. Yeah.
So Raphael says, doesn't DOM manipulation slow down websites? Wasn't that why jQuery is frowned upon? No, I think jQuery fell out of favor because people found other ways to do it. You're always manipulating the DOM because you want data-driven websites, which means that you're taking data from a source, could be a database, could be API, and you're injecting that into markup inside your page to display it. So you're always manipulating the DOM. Now, you can use React to do that. You can use jQuery to do that. You can use vanilla JavaScript to do that. And obviously, ASP.NET C# or the Razor Pages does that with MVC, the MVC design pattern. So all of that to say, that's what all these frameworks are doing, is finding a way for you to display information. And so you got to manipulate the DOM to do that. So that's kind of cool. All right.
Okay. Let's
any other questions? We got some more memes. We got a couple minutes here.
We do. Hold on. I was going to pull up another meme because there's another one that I liked.
Okay.
Here we go.
This is one double meme.
I'm going to do a double meme time because we have to do a meme up front. So hold on. We'll do this meme first, and then we'll see if there's any questions at the end here before we wrap up. Hey. Okay, so this one was custom made.
All right, man.
Camping Tom's made is a custom made meme.
90 X-Men.
I liked it. And he's surfing on his iPad. I don't know if it's an iPad, but
yeah, we've taught all the X-Men how to code. That's what happened. Charles Xavier was hard to teach because he could read your mind, but
yeah, but he just got it all instantly. So
yeah. Wolverine, he's a little more dense. He wasn't as smart, but you couldn't offend him. He'd kill you. So.
Okay, I like it.
Sometimes he would have hard time typing, so.
Yeah, if you got angry, you'd have a hard time typing. Let me see. Let me make sure there's no additional questions here before we wrap up. I don't know what union is. You know what union is? Don't use union. I don't know what that is.
Yeah, I'd have to get more context. I don't know what he's talking about.
Yeah. Don't know. Session. Sorry. Esteban says, thanks for showing everything you did in the stream. Great things to know for web dev. Yeah, cool. Thank you. Yeah. Thanks for showing up and hanging out with us.
Yeah, thanks.
Oh, Ben says you created a variable named nav but didn't use it. Why? Did you?
Okay, maybe I made a mistake.
Hey, let's go see. Let's go see what you did with it.
Now you're going to call me out, Kevin. Come on, man.
It's okay. I like when we make mistakes because it helps to learn. Because you must have had a thought about making it do something. So let's take a look. Did you make a?
I guess I didn't need to do that.
Okay. You're probably thinking of something else.
Yeah. Something else. So I don't need to do that. That was pulling back all the nav links or all the whole thing inside the nav. But I'd already pulled my clone out. So up here.
Okay.
So I didn't need to do that.
Okay.
So that's my error.
But that's interesting. It didn't break it though.
No, I just didn't do anything. It pulled it.
It just didn't do anything. Okay.
I just didn't use it.
So you say, okay, I see. Yeah. So you said it. Okay.
So good catch there, Brian. So I didn't need to do that because this clone is cloning this node. And so that gets the internal things that I'm looking for.
Okay.
I think it does. Let me run it and see what I did. And that's
it's hard looking because when you're doing it, you're obviously in a flow, right? You're working through this thing. You're like, oh, I'll do this. And then when you look back on it, it's a little bit more difficult to look back on the code and be like, so why did I do it this way again?
Yeah. So I would have probably figured that out if I refactored it real quick.
Right.
That's the thing about coding live, man. You just like, I'm surprised it worked actually.
You're winging it. See, I actually like when it doesn't work. I like when you mess something up and it's like, we got to go look at it. Because that's probably how and what normally happens.
Yeah. Probably my thought process here was like, I got to pull all these nav links back. And then while I was typing it, I was like, no, I don't. I just have to use the clone. I've already done that.
Okay.
So it's just probably overthinking it while you're sitting there doing it.
Yep.
Live. So.
No, I like that. I think that's good.
All right, cool.
Cool. There's one other question here, but I don't know what this is off the top of my head, but you may. In which scenario use dynamic and var? What is dynamic?
So var is all about scoping. We did that a couple weeks ago. And so var and let.
Oh, this is let versus var? Okay.
Yeah, and dynamic variables in JavaScript. There's no types, so I think that's what he's talking about. So var, if you don't care about the scope of the variable, use var, but pretty much it's frowned upon now to use var once let and constant was introduced.
Okay.
So you just want to use let, and so if you go back over here and look again, I go back to parallels, and I go back to my JavaScript here. This means that inside of this block here, parser only exists inside this block, and so if I had another function and I used a variable called parser, it wouldn't get confused. And that's the thing that's scoped inside of this block. And so you need to make sure all your variables are scoped to inside the block. And that's why I use let. So
cool.
Hope that makes sense. Anyway, cool. Well, it is 1:02, man, lunchtime.
It is lunchtime. What are we going to have for lunch today?
Camera and then just
see
I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see if we can figure it out, and we'll be back tomorrow. If you guys have any questions about the coding challenge too, don't forget you can put them on Discord. You can go over there and add them, and I know some of you guys are talking about it over there. Or come back tomorrow and we'll make sure we have a little section tomorrow too to talk about it. I think we promised we'd do a little bit of a section tomorrow to talk about the coding challenge. Next
week I'm going to recreate React and vanilla. I think they already did that, David. So here's the I think he's being funny, but like in general, here's the serious discussion. If you're going to set out to recreate React, maybe you should just use React. It's like if you need everything and it's a large site and there's a lot of things that React buys you, then yeah, it makes sense to use one of those frameworks.
But what if there's one thing you need from React? Could you recreate that one thing?
A lot of times,
Okay. So that's more of a use case, right? You'd be like, oh, React does this cool thing.
Yeah.
But understanding that React is just built on top of JavaScript and you don't need to React to do that one thing is kind of interesting. Right. So like, I just, like you've done today, like, I just need the menus. Should I install React just to do the menus? Maybe not. But the same thing goes, I think, for a lot of frameworks too, right? Like same thing for Bootstrap, right? Maybe I just want one element of Bootstrap. Just understanding that maybe that one CSS element of Bootstrap is just 20 lines of CSS. Why not just write 20 lines of CSS?
Right. And, when we had Jen Kramer on, you can go back and watch it. She doesn't like Bootstrap. She does it all
right
because she wants to use CSS to do all of her layouts, which is cool. I mean, but then there's a lot to it. So, each thing has its place. But if all is React and then you're using React for everything anyway, and that's fine. I mean, you can build a 3-page site with React for sure.
Yep. And maybe that's one of those things where you do look back and be like, oh man, like I just used it to do this one thing. Maybe I should learn how to do that one thing in vanilla. And then you can maybe understand how like React works a little bit. Yeah. That was my common misunderstanding with these frameworks is they are literally just built on top of the existing languages and you can do all this stuff without them.
Yeah.
We should have Raphael says that's what
Ashim on here.
I just put that on. Oh, sorry. Yeah. That's what Gatsby is used. Sorry.
So I don't want to like overstep my bounds with my knowledge of Gatsby. I'm not like a Gatsby genius, but in general, when you have a data set of pages maybe coming out of your CMS, and you don't want to render those dynamically, Gatsby sits in and pre-renders all of those things and produces HTML, pre-rendered HTML, and then that's the site. So what that does is make the site blazingly fast. Now, that is a very oversimplification of like all that Gatsby offers. But in general, people were trying to, a lot of times, generate static sites that they could just host on cheap hosts, and they're not dynamic. So, and I'm sure there's some other things, and Hashim may be throwing stuff at the wall right now like I just
Hey, Hashim, if you're still here and you're allowed to come on and talk about Gatsby, that'd be awesome. Like, that'd be cool. We should do that.
Yeah.
Your camera died again. We need to fix that camera. It's just like
need to work on it. It's kind of bad.
It's having some reliability issues.
What's kind of crazy is like it's not like we cheaped out on this thing. It's just I'm
I don't know. We're gonna switch up all the cables and stuff. That's what we're gonna do as a first try, and then we'll go from there.
Move it off the MacBook into So
cool. So we'll be back tomorrow with something else, and we'll talk about the coding challenge stuff too tomorrow. If you guys have any questions about it,
the coding challenge, we're excited to see kind of what you create, and hopefully you're going to win the Razer headset. That'd be kind of cool.
Yep, and all that cool CF swag.
All right. Yeah. Good luck. Keep coding. We'll see you tomorrow.
See you guys tomorrow.